Hello and welcome to another prompt. This week I asked you to write a story about an opossum and use the words delirious motion picture and red eye. And I am to share what I came up with. Um, so my story is called A Visit to the Big City. There once was an opossum named Bob who had a friend named Phil the Snail, and they all lived in the woods of Sylvania. One day Phil the Snail visited Bob and said he was going to the big city to see a motion picture. Now Bob had never left the forest and was wary of the big city, but Phil insisted it would be all right, so Bob agreed to go. In order to get there, Bob and Phil had to travel on a train. Bob was amazed at the sights that flashed before the windows. He saw farms, barns, horses, silos, and many, many people. Phil the Snail explained to Bob what all the things were when Bob asked. When they got to the city, Bob was awestruck by all the tall buildings. "These are much bigger than that silo we saw, and not to mention the tallest tree in the forest," Bob exclaimed. Phil the Snail hailed a taxi, and they were off to the movie house. Bob was even more amazed at seeing the images flickering on the screen. When the picture was over, Bob apologized and said he had agreed to meet up with Tom the Bobcat, the owner of the railroad. Bob had to go home by himself. Having experienced coming to the city, Bob found it easy to get back home. When he reached the forest, he told all of his friends the wonderful sights he had seen. "There are even these things called buildings, which are taller than the tallest tree in the forest," Bob exclaimed to the other animals. But Bob's friends didn't believe his crazy stories and thought he was quite delirious. Bob promised he would take them all to the city just to prove he wasn't lying. Now, in the meantime, Tom the Bobcat had been planning to reroute the train away from the forest, as the forest platform was the least profitable. Phil the Snail had come to the city to convince Tom otherwise, but nothing would do, and he had already demolished the platform soon after Bob had returned, so Bob the Opossum searched and searched in vain for the platform. Bob reluctantly told the other animals he could not find the platform, who wasn't aware of Tom the Bobcat's plans, but was still determined to convince his friends of the city's existence. He remembered a picture he had taken while there and decided to show it to his friends. He pulled it out, but alas, he had red eye in the picture, and this frightened the other animals, for it made them think he was some sort of witch or demon, so they all decided Bob should serve a punishment for his wickedness. Phil the Snail soon arrived back to the forest and got wind of the other creatures' plans. The animals trusted Phil and told them Bob the Opossum was not and he told them that Bob the Opossum was not lying, and arranged for all of them to ride in taxis into town so they could see the big city for themselves. After this, there was quite the demand from the forest creatures to visit the big city, so Tom the Bobcat rerouted the train and rebuilt the forest platform. All was well. Now for this week, I had a little trouble figuring out what kind of prompt I should do, so I visited the good old internets, and I'll provide a link in the description as to where I got the prompt and everything. It's on writersdigest.com. It asks that you pull a book randomly from your bookshelf, go to the first sentence on the first full sentence on the page that you turn to, and write a prompt based on that. So I will do that accordingly and let you know what it is next week. And I hope you do that too. Have a good day.